The blackness of deep space stretched endlessly, cold and silent. Stars burned far away like tiny sparks, but in this dark corner of the galaxy, no help would come. A lone human ship floated there, drifting slowly, its engines weak and flickering. The hull looked damaged, scorched from past battles. Panels hung loose, and broken pieces of metal floated around it like space debris. To anyone watching, it looked like a dying ship, helpless and waiting to be claimed. And someone was watching. From the shadows of an asteroid field, alien ships gathered. They were hunters, raiders who preyed on the weak. Their ships were fast, sharp, and armed with deadly plasma cannons. To them, this human vessel was nothing more than easy loot. They scanned the human ship again and again, but all they saw was weakness. No power, no shields, no weapons online. Only a fragile human craft, stranded in the void. Laughter echoed inside the alien command chamber as their leader spoke. Humans are careless. They leave their wrecks for us. Today, we take what we want. The raider fleet moved closer, their engines flaring like hungry predators. The human vessel drifted in silence, not even trying to move. It looked broken, like it had given up. But deep inside that ship, in the dark command deck, quiet lights blinked. Systems hummed faintly, hidden behind layers of deception. The human ship was not helpless. It was waiting. The aliens did not know this. They spread out, surrounding their prize. Small scout ships scanned for life signs, finding only one faint signal, weak and barely alive. The alien captain grinned. One survivor. Maybe we sell them as a slave before we strip the ship. His crew cheered, eager for easy victory. They armed their weapons and locked onto the vessel. Still, the human ship did not react. The silence felt strange, too calm. The aliens ignored it. To them, humans were weak creatures of flesh and fear. What could one dying ship do against their fleet of war-hardened hunters? But something about the ship's stillness carried a different weight. It was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of patience. Closer and closer, the raiders came. Their ships formed a circle around the drifting vessel. Their lights cut across the human hull, revealing scars, burn marks, and shattered panels. But under those scars, hidden lines glowed faintly, like veins of energy waiting to awaken. None of the aliens noticed. Inside the human ship, a single figure sat in the command chair. His face was calm, his eyes fixed on the displays in front of him. He watched the alien fleet surround his vessel with the focus of a predator waiting for prey to step closer. His hand hovered above a control, but he did not press it yet. He wanted them near. He wanted them to believe they had already won. The alien leader gave the order to fire warning shots. Plasma bolts lit the void, striking near the human ship. The vessel rocked slowly, its hull groaning as if ready to break apart. The raiders laughed again, their arrogance growing. "Finish it," the captain said. But before the order became action, a sound filled the raider comms. A low hum, deep and cold, vibrated through space. At first, they thought it was noise from their own systems. Then they realized it came from the human ship. Lights that had once looked dead began to glow. The weak hull shimmered as hidden shields activated. The ship rotated slowly, turning toward its hunters with unnatural precision. The alien laughter stopped. Confusion spread through their ranks. "Impossible! That ship was crippled," one shouted. But already the human vessel's shape seemed different. Panels shifted, broken plates fell away to reveal armored plating beneath. What had looked like damage was only camouflage. The faint life signal they had detected was no accident either, it was bait. The lone human ship was not weak. It was waiting for them. Inside, the human captain finally pressed the control. The vessel came alive. Engines roared, weapons powered up, and targeting systems locked on. The captain spoke softly, almost to himself, but the words carried through the silent chamber. "You took the bait." The raiders, once predators, now felt a chill of fear. Their prey was not prey at all. It was a hunter far more dangerous than they had imagined. The trap was set, and they had walked right into it. And in the cold, endless night of space, the real battle was about to begin. The alien fleet floated in silence for a moment, stunned by the sudden awakening of the human ship. What had looked like a dying vessel now glowed with hidden power. Its shields shimmered with a faint blue haze, wrapping the ship like a wall of light. What seemed like broken panels were now sliding back into place, revealing heavy armor that looked untouched by time or battle. The raiders, once certain of victory, now whispered in fear across their comms. "This cannot be. It was dead. I saw it dead," one of them cried. But denial would not save them. The human ship's engines roared with renewed strength, and in that moment, the trap began to close. The alien commander tried to steady his crew. "It is still only one ship. Do not fear. Overwhelm it. Destroy it quickly." His voice carried forced confidence, but in his heart, unease had already taken root. Still, orders were orders, and his fleet prepared to fire. Plasma cannons locked on, missiles armed, targeting systems ready. The raiders moved like a pack of wolves surrounding a single beast. But this beast was no ordinary prey. Inside the human ship, the captain's hands moved calmly over the controls. Warning signals blinked across his screen as enemy ships prepared to strike. He felt no panic. Every move, every reaction had been planned. He had waited for this exact moment. "Let them fire first," he whispered. His voice was steady, his eyes cold. He wanted them to make the mistake. The alien commander gave the signal. A barrage of plasma bolts lit the void, striking the human vessel with thunderous force. Explosions flared across the hull. To the raiders, it looked like the end had come. Cheers echoed inside their ships as they believed victory was already in their hands. But then, through the smoke and fire, the human ship emerged unbroken. Its shields held firm, shimmering brighter with each impact. The plasma faded away into nothing, leaving the vessel untouched. The cheers died instantly. "Impossible!" an alien shouted. "Our cannons did nothing." Fear began to spread as the truth became clear. They were not fighting a broken ship. They were facing something far beyond their understanding. The human captain pressed a single command. The ship's weapons came alive. Panels opened along its sides, revealing railguns, missile bays, and energy cannons hidden under layers of deception. Lights glowed red across the hull as the targeting systems locked onto multiple ships at once. In the alien fleet, panic erupted. "It has weapons. Too many weapons," cried one pilot. But their warnings came too late. The first strike came with blinding speed. A railgun shot tore through the nearest raider ship, splitting its hull in half with a single impact. The vessel exploded in silence, fire scattering into the void. Before the others could react, a swarm of guided missiles launched from the human ship, twisting and spinning with perfect precision. They struck two more raiders at once, tearing them apart like paper. 3 ships gone in less than 10 seconds. The aliens screamed in disbelief. The hunters' laughter had turned into terror. The human captain did not smile. His face remained cold, his voice steady. 3 down, he muttered to himself. Plenty more to go. The alien commander roared in anger, though fear choked his throat. "All ships, attack. Surround it, disable it, now." His fleet obeyed, firing everything they had. Plasma cannons blazed, missiles streaked through the void, and lasers cut across the darkness. But the human vessel moved with unnatural grace, dodging with precise bursts of its engines. Where it could not dodge, its shields absorbed the fire, glowing brighter, stronger. It was as if the ship knew exactly where each attack would land, as if it had seen the battle before it even began. Alien ships exploded one after another. A plasma bolt was deflected into one of their own cruisers, tearing it apart in a fiery chain reaction. A missile intended for the human vessel was hacked mid-flight, turning back and destroying the ship that had launched it. Chaos consumed the raider fleet. "It's reading our moves," one pilot shouted before his signal went dead in an explosion. In the command chair, the human captain watched with quiet focus. His AI system displayed every alien move, predicting their formations and countering them instantly. It was not just strength they faced. It was intelligence, human intelligence sharpened by machines. Slowly, the aliens began to break formation. Their confidence shattered, their pride burned. They were no longer a hunting pack. They were prey scattering in panic. The human captain gave his final order for the strike. Cut the circle. Hunt them. The ship obeyed. Thrusters ignited, pushing the vessel forward with terrifying speed. It broke through the middle of the alien fleet like a spear of fire. Railguns and cannons shredded any ship in its path. The void filled with wreckage, burning metal, and desperate cries. By the time the ship slowed, half the alien fleet was gone. The survivors screamed into their comms, begging for retreat, for escape, for mercy. But mercy did not come. The first strike was complete, and the message was clear. The era of humans being weak prey was over. The hunter had become the hunted. The battlefield was no longer silent. Wreckage floated through the void, burning fragments of alien ships scattering like ash across the stars. What had started as a confident hunt had turned into a nightmare. Half the alien fleet was destroyed, and the rest were shaken, their formation broken, their pride crushed. The lone human ship glided through the chaos with calm precision, its shields glowing, its weapons hot. It was not fleeing, not struggling. It was in control. The aliens had never seen anything like it. To them, humans were fragile beings of flesh, weak and reckless. Yet here was one ship, alone, tearing apart a fleet of seasoned raiders as if they were nothing more than practice targets. The alien commander's hands trembled as he gripped the edge of his command chair. His mind refused to accept what his eyes saw. This should not be possible, he muttered. His crew looked at him with fear, searching for leadership, but his voice carried no power now. He had lost control of the hunt. Inside the human vessel, the captain remained calm. His eyes studied the data flashing across his screens. Every alien move was tracked, every weakness exploited. The ship's AI fed him constant updates, highlighting the next target before it even acted. But the captain knew something deeper. This was not only a battle of weapons, it was a message. Humanity had been underestimated for too long. Now, the galaxy would learn the truth. He spoke quietly to his ship's AI. Activate the veil. At once, the vessel shimmered. Its form blurred as cloaking systems engaged. To the aliens, the ship seemed to vanish from space, disappearing into the blackness. Panic spread instantly. "Where did it go?" shouted one pilot. "It's gone. It's gone." The alien commander barked orders, but his voice cracked. "Search all sectors. Scan every frequency." But their scanners failed. The human vessel had melted into the shadows, invisible to every sensor. The aliens fired blindly into the void, their weapons cutting through empty space. Fear grew heavier with every passing second. Then, without warning, a massive energy blast erupted from the darkness. One raider ship exploded instantly, consumed in fire. Another was struck by railgun rounds, breaking apart in silence. The human vessel reappeared for only a second before vanishing again. It was hunting them like a ghost, striking without warning, unseen and unstoppable. "This is not a ship," one alien whispered in terror. "This is a demon." The commander wanted to silence him, but he felt the same fear. Every time the vessel appeared, another raider died. Every time it vanished, the crew waited for death. It was not just destroying them, it was breaking their spirits. Inside the human ship, the captain watched with cold focus. His hands moved over the controls, but he did not rush. Every strike was deliberate, every shot placed with precision. He knew fear was more powerful than any weapon. Let the raiders feel helpless, let them choke on their own terror. Soon, they would understand. Another alien cruiser exploded, its fireball lighting the darkness. The raiders' voices filled the comms with desperation. "We cannot fight this. We must retreat." But the commander shouted back, though his voice shook. "No. If we flee, the others will know we were defeated by one human. Do you want the galaxy to laugh at us? Hold the line." His words fell empty. The fear in his crew's eyes told him the truth. They no longer cared about pride. They only cared about survival. And survival was slipping away with every passing second. The human captain finally opened a channel. His voice cut across the alien comms, deep and steady. "You should not have attacked." The words froze them. It was not the voice of a desperate survivor. It was the voice of a hunter who had already won. The commander's throat went dry. For the first time, he realized they had not stumbled upon a crippled human ship. They had walked into a trap designed for them. But who had set this trap? Was it one clever human captain, or was this ship part of something larger, something darker? The idea clawed at his mind. If one ship could do this, what would a fleet of them do? The silence after the humans' words was worse than the explosions. The crew whispered among themselves, their voices shaking. It speaks like it knows us. It speaks like it judges us." And then the truth became clear. The awakening had come. This was no helpless prey. This was humanity revealing its hidden strength. The galaxy thought humans were weak, but here, in this dark void, a single human vessel showed the truth. It was not only weapons and shields that terrified the aliens. It was the calm voice, the unshaken focus, the way the human captain turned their laughter into screams. Fear spread faster than fire. The raider fleet was no longer an army. It was broken prey scattered in the dark. And as the human ship prepared for its next strike, one thing was certain: the age of underestimating humanity was over. The raiders had begun the battle as hunters, circling a lone human ship with pride and arrogance. Now they drifted in scattered confusion, their fleet broken, their confidence shattered. Wrecks burned silently across the blackness, each fireball a reminder that their prey was not prey at all. Fear filled their comms, voices overlapping with panic. "It's everywhere. It's inside our systems. It knows where we move." The alien commander tried to rally them, but even his own voice trembled. "Hold formation. If we stay together, we can destroy it." But the truth was clear. No matter how many orders he gave, his ships no longer trusted him. Their eyes, their hearts, were fixed only on survival. Inside the human ship, the captain remained calm. His face was lit by the glow of the command screens, his expression steady, almost cold. Every alien movement was tracked, every weakness marked. The AI whispered tactical predictions, drawing invisible lines across the void, showing exactly where the raiders would go before they even moved. The captain spoke quietly. "They came as hunters. Now, they will know what it feels like to be hunted." He gave the order, and the ship obeyed. Engines roared, propelling the vessel forward with terrifying speed. It shot into the center of the scattered raiders like a spear of light. Railguns thundered, tearing through a destroyer. Energy cannons fired, slicing across another raider's shields until they cracked apart. The aliens screamed as their ships broke under the precise fury of the human vessel. The fleet tried to regroup, but the ship was too fast. It weaved through them, striking, vanishing, and striking again. The hunters were being cut down like prey in a field. The alien commander slammed his fists against his console. "Stop running. Face it head-on." But his crew hesitated. They no longer believed his words. The human ship seemed to predict everything, moving like it was always one step ahead. The commander's pride turned into desperation. He shouted, "If we cannot win, we must at least wound it. Fire everything." And so the remaining raiders poured their weapons into the void. Plasma bolts, missiles, lasers, all converged on the human vessel. Explosions lit the darkness, shaking the shields, pushing the ship back. For a moment, the aliens thought they had done it. Smoke trailed from the vessel, sparks burst across its hull. Their cheers rose once more. But then, the smoke cleared. The ship still moved. Its shields flickered but held. And worse, its weapons were still hot. Slowly, its cannons turned back toward them. The cheers died. What followed was not a battle. It was a hunt. The human vessel picked them apart one by one, targeting their engines first so they could not escape. Raiders spun helplessly as their thrusters failed, then were blasted apart by precise railgun fire. One by one, they died not as warriors but as prey too weak to flee. Panic broke what little order remained. Ships turned in all directions, fleeing into the void, abandoning their commander, abandoning each other. The commander screamed for them to return, but his voice was drowned out by terror. "Run! Just run!" they shouted, breaking rank. The human captain watched them scatter. His voice was quiet, almost like a whisper carried on the void. "You were so eager to hunt. Now you know the fear of being hunted." His ship surged forward again, cutting across the battlefield like a shadow with teeth. Another raider fell, then another. The captain gave no pause, no mercy. His expression never changed. This was not just combat. This was a lesson. The galaxy needed to understand that humans were not weak, not helpless. They were predators too, and perhaps the most dangerous kind, ones who could hide their strength until the moment it mattered most. The alien commander's ship shuddered as alarms filled his bridge. His crew looked at him with horror in their eyes. "It's coming for us," one whispered. And indeed, the human ship was turning toward the flagship, its weapons glowing with lethal energy. The commander felt his stomach sink. For the first time in his life, he knew what true fear was. He thought of his first words before the battle, mocking humans as weak prey. Now, in this final moment, those words burned with shame. The human vessel fired. The blast tore through his ship's shields, ripping across its hull. The commander was thrown from his chair as sparks rained down. Systems failed one by one, alarms screaming into the void. His crew shouted in panic, but he knew it was over. They had been outmatched from the start. The ship shuddered again, fire consuming its engines. As the darkness closed around him, the commander realized the truth. They had not attacked a broken vessel. They had walked willingly into the jaws of a predator far greater than themselves. In the silent dark of space, the roles had been reversed. The hunters had become the hunted, and there would be no escape. The battlefield was littered with wreckage. Shattered alien ships drifted through the void, silent tombs of warriors who once believed themselves unstoppable. Flames burned faintly across broken hulls, casting a red glow against the darkness. The few raider ships that remained kept their distance, weapons trembling in their grips, engines primed for escape. They had entered the fight as predators, bold and fearless, but now they were reduced to prey, scattered and broken. For the first time in their lives, they did not want to fight. They only wanted to live. Inside the human vessel, the captain sat in his chair, calm and steady. His face was lit by the glow of the displays, his hands moving with slow precision across the controls. Around him, the ship's AI whispered predictions, marking weak signals of the surviving raiders. He could have finished them all with one command, but instead he waited. It was time for something greater than destruction. It was time for a message. The captain opened a channel to the alien fleet. His voice cut across the void, deep and calm, carrying a weight that froze every raider in place. "You should not have attacked." The words echoed across their comms. It was not shouted, not angry. It was quiet, but the quiet was worse. It was the voice of someone who had already won, of someone who was not threatened in the slightest. The alien crews fell silent. No one dared to respond at first. They stared at their broken systems, their failing ships, their dead comrades drifting into the void. They listened to that human voice and felt fear coil inside them. The commander of the remaining raiders forced himself to speak. His voice shook, but he tried to sound strong. "You are only one ship. You tricked us, but you cannot stand against all of us. Humanity cannot stand against the galaxy." The human captain's answer came without delay. "One ship was enough for you. One ship was enough to turn your laughter into screams. His voice grew colder. If you think humanity is weak, remember this day. Remember that you came hunting one vessel, and you lost an entire fleet. The raider crews shivered. The truth was undeniable. Their fleet, dozens strong, had been torn apart by what they thought was a crippled vessel. The silence on their comms was heavy, filled with shame and dread. The human captain continued. This ship is not the strongest we have. It is not the largest. It is a test, nothing more. A shadow of what is coming. You attacked because you believed we were weak. You thought you could take what was ours without cost. But today you learned the truth. Humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not forget. His words cut like blades. The aliens had never heard such calm certainty from a human voice. There was no pleading, no fear, only quiet strength. Some of the raider crews whispered to each other, their voices trembling. If this is only a test, what will the real ones be like? The commander clenched his fists, his pride fighting against the fear in his heart. You cannot scare us forever. There are empires greater than yours. There are fleets larger than yours. Humanity cannot stand against the galaxy. For a moment, the comms were silent. Then the human captain replied with words that chilled every alien listening. The galaxy will not come to us. We will come to the galaxy. And when we do, you will remember that this began with you. The survivors looked at one another in dread. The meaning was clear. This battle was not only punishment. It was a warning. If one ship could do this, what would happen when more arrived? One raider broke the silence. His voice shook as he begged. Spare us. We surrender. Others soon joined him, sending desperate signals of surrender, voices filled with terror. They no longer cared about pride or command. They wanted to live, even if it meant crawling before the humans they had once mocked. The human captain sat quietly, listening. His hand hovered over the weapons control. He could destroy them in an instant. Part of him wanted to erase the threat entirely. But another part of him knew the truth. Letting them live was more powerful than killing them. Survivors carried fear back to their people. Survivors spread stories. And stories could break empires. He lowered his hand and spoke again, his voice as steady as stone. Leave now. Tell your kind what happened here. Tell them humanity is not prey. Tell them humanity is not weak. Tell them the next time they come, it will not be one ship waiting. It will be many. The survivors hesitated only a second before fleeing. Engines roared as the broken raider ships turned and vanished into the void, leaving behind the wreckage of their dead. The human vessel watched them go, silent and unshaken. The captain leaned back in his chair, his eyes hard. He knew what he had done. He had turned a battle into a warning that would echo through the stars. Humanity had spoken, not with weakness, not with begging, but with power. And the galaxy would listen. The surviving raider ships fled into the darkness, their engines burning bright as they scattered away from the battlefield. Fear drove them faster than orders ever could. They had begun the fight with confidence, sure of their strength, but now they carried only terror. Behind them, the wreckage of their fallen drifted silently, glowing fragments scattered across the stars. Every surviving alien pilot knew they had been spared, not defeated. That was worse, because it meant they carried a message, a warning they could not escape. Inside the human vessel, the captain watched the fleeing ships with calm eyes. His ship could have hunted them all, destroyed every last one, but he chose restraint. The AI displayed targeting solutions, red circles blinking over the fleeing raiders, yet the captain's hand stayed still. Let them run, he said softly. Fear will spread faster than fire. The AI hummed, acknowledging his choice. On the raider flagship, the commander sat slumped in his chair. His pride was shattered, his voice hoarse from shouting orders no one obeyed. Around him, his crew worked desperately to keep the ship running, systems failing from earlier damage. Alarms blared, engines strained, but still they pushed forward. Some whispered that the human vessel would appear behind them at any moment, ending them before they could escape. The commander wanted to deny it, but deep inside he feared the same. Every shadow in the void seemed alive, every flicker of light felt like the hunter's eyes upon them. He barked at his crew to remain focused, but his words no longer carried strength. He had lost their respect. Fear had replaced loyalty. A junior officer finally spoke the words no one dared to say. "Commander, we should surrender. We cannot fight that ship. If we run, maybe it will let us live." The commander's face twisted with rage. "We do not surrender to prey. Do you understand? We are raiders. We take what we want. We do not beg for mercy." His voice cracked at the end, betraying his own fear. The crew lowered their eyes, ashamed but unwilling to fight. They knew the truth: if the human ship wanted them dead, they would already be gone. The fact they were still alive was no mercy. It was a decision. And decisions could change at any moment. Suddenly, alarms flared again. A sensor officer shouted, "It's behind us!" Panic swept across the bridge as the human vessel appeared on their screens, gliding through the void like a predator stalking wounded prey. Its lights glowed faintly, weapons still hot, shields humming with power. The raiders screamed, engines pushed to their limits, but the human ship closed the distance easily. It did not fire, not yet. It simply followed, matching their speed, watching them. It was a hunter reminding its prey that escape was impossible. The commander gritted his teeth, sweat running down his face. He felt trapped, humiliated, powerless. Why won't it finish us?" he whispered. His crew did not answer. They all wondered the same. Then the human captain opened the comms again. His voice was calm, steady, the same as before. "Run. Carry your fear with you. Tell your kind what happens when they strike at us." The words struck harder than any weapon. The raider crew froze, their bodies trembling as if the voice itself was a blade pressed against their throats. They realized the human captain was not sparing them out of mercy. He was sparing them to spread the story. They were not survivors, they were messengers. The commander's pride shattered completely. He slammed his fists against the chair, but no strength came from the action. His voice broke as he muttered, We were nothing to him." The human vessel slowed, falling back as the raiders sped ahead into the darkness. It did not need to chase them further. Its purpose was complete. Fear would do the rest. 4 hours, the survivors fled without stopping, too afraid to even breathe easily. Every blip on their sensors made them flinch, every spark in their engines made them believe death had returned. When they finally crossed into safer space, silence fell heavy over their bridges. No one spoke of victory. No one spoke of pride. They had lost more than ships. They had lost the illusion that humans were weak. The commander stared at the stars ahead with hollow eyes. He knew his empire would demand answers. They would ask how their fleet had fallen to a single human vessel. And he would have to tell them the truth. That truth would shake them, spread like fire through their kind. But perhaps that was the humans' plan all along. Inside the lone human vessel, the captain leaned back in his chair. His eyes were sharp, but his voice was quiet. "They will remember. They will all remember." The AI flickered its agreement. Across the void, the message was already moving, carried not by transmissions but by living survivors. The galaxy would hear the story soon enough. A lone human ship, thought to be broken and helpless, had destroyed a fleet and let the survivors live only to spread the fear. Humanity's name would no longer be whispered as weak. It would be spoken with caution, with dread. And this was only the beginning. The raider fleet limped back into their territory, ships torn, engines failing, hulls scarred from the battle. They had left with pride and numbers, but now they returned as broken shadows of themselves. Entire squadrons were missing, burned into dust by the single human vessel that had stood against them. Their people gathered at the docks, expecting spoils and stories of conquest. Instead, they saw silence, fear, and eyes that refused to meet their gaze. The survivors walked off their ships like ghosts. Whispers spread quickly. Something had gone wrong, terribly wrong. Inside the Raider High Command, the leaders demanded answers. The commander of the fleet stood before them, his once proud shoulders slumped. He recited the events with a trembling voice. He told them how a lone human vessel, appearing weak and unprotected, had turned into a monster of steel and fire. He described how it tore apart their warships with weapons beyond imagination, how it endured every strike, and how it refused to fall. But the part that silenced the chamber was his final words. It spared us. Not because we fought well. Not because we deserved mercy. It spared us only to carry its warning. The leaders exchanged uneasy glances. Aliens who had mocked humans for decades now felt the chill of something darker. If what the commander said was true, then the humans had not just defended themselves. They had sent a message to the galaxy. One elder scoffed, unwilling to accept fear. It was one ship. Perhaps luck, perhaps trickery. Humans cannot hold such power. But his words carried no strength. The room remained tense, because deep inside, they all knew luck could not explain the slaughter of a fleet. The commander raised his head slowly, his voice heavy. If you doubt me, then send another fleet. But know this, if you send them, they will not return. Silence fell again. No one dared to speak. Outside, rumors spread like fire among the common raiders. They whispered of humans who hid their strength, who played weak until the moment they struck. They told stories of how the humans hunted with patience, how they had turned one ship into a weapon strong enough to destroy an army. Fear traveled faster than light, reaching every ear, carried by the survivors who could not forget what they had seen. Across the galaxy, other species began to notice the whispers. Traders spoke of the story at distant stations, mercenaries repeated it in bars, and spies carried it back to their governments. Soon the tale reached the Galactic Council, the great assembly of civilizations. They had long ignored humans, seeing them as young and harmless. Now they listened closely, because the story was spreading too widely to be dismissed as rumor. Council chambers buzzed with debate. Some believed the raiders exaggerated their defeat. Others argued that even if half the story was true, humanity could no longer be overlooked. One counselor leaned forward, his voice sharp. If the humans truly command such power, then they must be contained before they rise further. But another replied, his tone low with fear. Or perhaps it is already too late. If one ship can do this, what of their fleets we have not yet seen? The council fell into chaos, voices shouting, leaders panicking. The name of humanity now carried a weight it never had before. They were no longer dismissed as prey. They were something else, something dangerous. Back on Earth, the human captain sat in the quiet of his ship. Reports flowed in, showing how the story had begun to move through alien space. His plan had worked. He had not needed to destroy every enemy. Fear would do the work for him. His AI spoke softly, they will come again. They will test us. The captain nodded. Let them. They will learn again. Each time they strike, they will regret it. He looked out at the stars, his expression calm but cold. Humanity had shown its teeth, and the galaxy had finally noticed. For centuries, humans had been underestimated, mocked as fragile, ignored as insignificant. But that time was over. The lone ship drifting through the stars had rewritten the truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was the warning the galaxy had failed to see. And now the stars would never forget.